Oh, you're back? We already did the regional decks. We did 1 through 16. We're done. Oh, you think there's a bonus one? You think there's one more? Bresciani, ugh. No, we did all of them. They're all here. Wait a second, what's this? There's a 17th deck? Roman deck. There's a deck from Rome? I was told that wasn't true. Well, it's made by an official card maker, Dal Negro. Maybe we should take a look. Hi, welcome to Playing Games. I'm Chris, and today we're going to unbox some playing cards. Again, this video is hopefully the last look at the Italian regional card decks. Over the course of 17 short videos, I will be opening all of the Italian regional card decks, and we'll go over what makes these unique masterpieces tick. Let's go! One last time. Today we're going to open the long-lost, official, unofficial Roman card deck. So as I've mentioned in other videos, there are 16 official regional Italian card decks. There is one region that is glaringly absent though. Italy's capital, Rome. How does Rome not have their own deck? Especially given Rome's long history as the heart and hearth of the Italic peninsula. If Italy is a boot, then Rome is the zipper that keeps it together. To this day, the Romans generally play with either a Neapolitan deck or more often a Piacentine one. This all changed in the year NCMLXXIII, also known as 1973. That year, the Romans finally made their own deck. Let's read from the deck's editor's own description. Roman cards. Italy is a country that has many different playing cards. Nearly every important town has its own cards. Florence, Bologna, Genoa, Milan, Trieste, Naples, Piacenza. Piacenza? That's not a major city. Nevertheless, Rome, the most famous of all cities, capital of Italy and caput mundi, has never possessed its own cards until 1973. At long last created the cards, thus offering to Rome the missing item on card tables. And from that moment on, Roman regional cards became the most famous of all the decks. No, that's not at all what happened. The Roman deck was a flop. It didn't catch on outside of Rome, and the Romans themselves stuck with the Piacentine deck. By the early 1980s, its printing was discontinued. It's not surprising, the artwork and design feel out of place with the other Italian decks. And that's saying something. The artwork felt more akin to those airplane safety cards. You know, the one with those yellow inflatable life preservers and that big puffy slide. See what I'm saying? Another problem with this deck, well, another problem besides this card, and maybe that card, another problem with this deck was that it wasn't made by either of the two major Italian card brands, Dal Negro or Modiano. So I gave up on finding this deck. But this summer, while I was searching through a bookstore in Rome for other packs, I stumbled upon this. They're giving Rome another shot, and this time it's backed by the Dal Negro company. It's a 40-card Spanish-suited Italian deck, and it has the Spanish suits of coins, swords, cups, and clubs, which is why I'm using my Spanish-suited background. This deck also offers tons of ancient Roman Easter eggs through its illustrations and Latin text. The only question is, can this become a regional deck, or will it be another out-of-print Roman novelty deck? Let's go through it, and you can be the judge. Soli. This suit honors the 1970s deck by making Rome's Bocca della Verità, the mouth of truth, the coin. That can still be found in Rome, the Bocca della Verità. I've been there many times. And it has an opening in the mouth and you can put your hand right in and you're supposed to be asked a question by somebody. And if you lie, your hand is supposed to get lopped off by a sword or eaten by the monster. Never seen it happen. I've been a few times and I've told lies there. My hand is still very much here. My Latin is not very good, but I'll do my best to translate what I see. If you know Latin, I'm sorry you had to go to an all-boys Catholic school, but you can help translate this. I would really appreciate any of my errors corrected in the comments. All right, so the mouth of truth says, nor did I encourage anyone more keenly than the loss of money. I believe that's an allusion to gambling. 4 of coins, here we have the brutal Caesar side of Julius by the Senate in the Senate. Next we have the Fonte or Jack of coins. It says something like, the mouth is a wife's suit, if I've got that right. It's credited to the Empress Flavia Maxima Fausta. She was killed by the first Christian emperor, Constantine, at the request of his very pious mother, Helena. Fausta was accused of adultery, and I suppose we're supposed to assume that she lied about it and was thus killed. Constantine's murder weapon? Well, it wasn't the mouth, it was steam. She was locked in an overheated spa room until she died. So then we come to the horse, the cavallo of Soli. This one says, thanks to those who do not possess the opposite honors of the two. And we have the mythical founders of Rome, baby Romulus and Remus. Their wolf mother is over here in the corner. And for the Ray, we have Julius Caesar currently not being murdered in this card. This makes sense as the King of Diamonds is often considered to be Caesar's card. His Latin says, "It's a gamble." And it sure was. He lost. So the next suit in this deck is for the swords, or spade. This version of swords takes a divergent direction from the other Italian decks. It's not a scimitar, it's not a straight long sword. We have a Roman short sword, aka a gladius. It's in front of a Roman shield and behind a Roman helmet. The phrase Senatus Populisque Romanorum are written right at the top. And that, of course, is the full title for the Romans' famous abbreviation SPQR, which means Rome belongs to the Senate and the Roman citizens. The Two of Swords has one word, testudo, which means turtle. And here we see an image of the Roman army's famous turtle formation. The Four of Swords shows another use for the gladius sword, the gladiator. We have a gladiatorial helmet right behind them. Here's the Five of Swords. We have some elephants on a flag and a LEGV referring to the 5th Roman Legion. This was one of Julius Caesar's legions. This legion would join Mark Antony, and later it was instrumental in avenging both of their deaths. So then we get to the Fonte of Spade, and this card is attributed to Cornelia. But this figure looks more like Athena than anyone else, which makes sense as Athena is often the queen of spades, or swords, in most decks. She says, "Match my ornaments." If you've noticed, the court cards do have Roman numerals to indicate the number in the deck, which is really helpful, and it's not present in a lot of Italian decks. So the Roman numeral 8 for Fontes, because it's the 8th card. The Roman numeral IX or 9 for the horses, because it's the 9th card. And the Roman numeral X for the king, because it's the 10th card. Here we have the Cavallo of Swords, and it is Marcus Caelius, a Roman centurion who was killed in Germany during a campaign. His text says, "Careful not to start anything, which I later regretted." I'm guessing he was like most Italians and regretted visiting Germany. Here we have the King of Swords, and this is Gaius Julius Caesar Octavius, or more simply, Emperor Augustus. He was much more successful than his adopted father, Julius Caesar. He's considered Rome's greatest leader, and he set up Pax Romana. It was said that he found Rome as a city of bricks and left it a city of shining marble. The Latin here says, "The achievements of the god Augustus." I'm not sure how godlike he was, but he did certainly leave a lot of achievements in Rome. So the cope suit here, or the cup suit, is more like a copper suit. It has a bronze-style cup, although it is thought that the wealthy Romans used lead dishware, which was instrumental in the downfall of many of Rome's leaders. The ace reads, "We must not depart from the words of the law." On the Four of Cope, we have two people holding the eagle. It's possible that they're Castor and Pollux, the Gemini gods, who were loved by the Romans. The Fonte of Cups is another famous Roman woman. We have Livia. She was Caesar Augustus's wife and the great-grandmother to both Caligula and Nero. Her Latin reads, "Piety, justice, salvation," none of which Caligula or Nero really followed. For the Horse of Cope, we have another Caesar, the Caesar Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor who was best known for his philosophical writings. He's also central to the plot of the film Gladiator. The Latin reads, "War is neither to be lied to nor to be provoked." The Rey, or King of Cope, is Flavius Valerius Constantinus, aka Constantine the Great. He's famous for being the first Christian emperor. The Latin says, "In this sign you will conquer." I'm not sure if he means the sign of the cross or of his sword, because he was more a warring emperor than he was a spiritual leader. So the final suit in the deck is bastone, or clubs, and the ace of bastone has the Roman god Mars, aka Ares. He was a god who was not loved by the Greeks, but he was very much loved by the Roman military. And the Romans believed that he was the father of Romulus and Remus. The yellow sign located where Rome sits on that bastone boot, it reads, "Capital of the world." And for a time it really was. The Latin reads, "We are all dying of sickness." Well, that's dark. But you'll see why when we get to the court cards of this suit. The Two of Clubs, or bastone, says, "Roman Day, April 21st. That's Rome's birthday. The birth year was 753 BC. Make sure you set your calendar. The Three of Clubs shows the sigil of the Thunderbolts, 12th Legion, which was one of Julius Caesar's legions. So for our final Fonte of bastone, we have Ania, Aralia, Galeria, Lucilla, or just Lucilia. You may remember her from the movie Gladiator. She was the sister of the mad Emperor Commodus. In real life, her plot to assassinate him failed, and she was killed herself by one of Commodus's centurions. Her ominous Latin reads, "You will expect from another what you have done," and that happened. Okay, this is the funniest choice in the whole deck. For bastone cavalli, the horse suit, They picked Caligula. Caligula, Rome's Christopher Columbus, was sick in the head and he murdered friends and family at a whim. He also married his favorite horse. His Latin reads, "I was hated while I loved him." Okay, weirdo. Speaking of insane weirdos, this was a prototype to Batman's Joker. We have Nero as the King of Bastoni. He's dressed in a very regal drag, playing his lyre as Rome burns. He was actually out of Rome for the burning, but he had it done to clear out a residential neighborhood, making room for his enormous palace. The Latin here, "For the walls are torn apart when the next one is burned." And there you have it, a whole tour of ancient Rome and a deck of cards. I love Rome. My Nana and Nono went to Rome 4 months every year, and growing up, I got to stay with them and learn all about Rome and its history. In my early 20s, I lived and worked as a photojournalist in Rome, and I enjoyed digging deeper into the history and making friends with modern Romans. I also played a lot of cards, and never with that weird Roman deck. Perhaps someday Rome will get to join the other regions with a famous pack of their own. Could it be this one? Information is scarce when it comes to regional decks, so if you're from the Roman region, or if you think real Romans should get behind this deck, please share what you know in the comments, and I'll do my best to keep that knowledge alive. This is just one of Italy's many regional decks, and you can see all the others right here on Playing Games. Please comment, like, and subscribe to help this channel grow. Also help support the hard work that goes into these videos by donating to this channel. You are great. Thank you.